Hello, in this presentation we will talk about how to print reports and export reports to Excel within QuickBooks Online. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info. Here we are, the QuickBooks Online dashboard. We will be continuing with the Get Great Guitars problem. We're going to be talking about how to print and export reports. To do that, we're going to go to the reports on the left side. And we have this search item here. Now, the most common searches will appear down here. If they're not there, we go to the search item. Now, note that all reports are going to be in this section, including what we would call the financial statements. So we're talking about the balance sheet and the profit and loss, the major financial statements, also in this case called reports within QuickBooks. So we're going to go to the report center to make the reports or the financial statements, as well as other reports that will also be grouped in this area, including the customer balance detail, the transaction list by date. We're going to look at those main reports, those main financial statements, in this case, the balance sheet. So we'll type in balance sheet here. We'll select the balance sheet and we're going to choose the dates of the balance sheet. Now note that if we don't have any data here yet, obviously there won't be any information because we're going to start a new company and enter that information. But we first want to look through here, and this will be a populated field so that we can see those financial statements. We can see the end goal of what we are creating, and every report that we have, we can then use these functions in terms of the printing options and or the exporting options to Excel. Two great features and things that we really want to know those options for, how to manipulate that, how to get things printed on one page. And we'll talk more about that as we go through these reports. So we're going to put the dates here, 01/01/21 to 02/28/21. That's January 1st, 2021 to February 28th, 2021, and run that report. Then if we scroll down, we've got our balance sheet, the three components of the balance sheet being assets, then liabilities, then equity within the balance sheet. Now, on this report, this is just going to be an example, just any report that we have. We have a few different options, and those will be up here. We can email the report, which is nice. We can go straight to the email. We can print the report. If we select the printing option, then we'll get the preview screen and a few different options over here in terms of whether we would want this to be printed as a portrait or in landscape. This is going to be important because note that in this printing screen, it's not always going to fit possibly on one column, one page wide in terms of the columns. And therefore, it could be useful for us to change the options here from the portrait option to landscape in an attempt to get more of this to fit on one page. We also have the option down here to save as a PDF file. That's going to be very useful because the PDF file is going to be kind of like the standard printed file in digital format. So that's going to be the PDF file you can save. Sometimes that PDF file gets a little messed up to save it as the PDF. And if that does happen, or if you're looking at some other report that doesn't give you, for whatever reason, the save PDF format, as sometimes happens, or in another program that doesn't have that, note you can still go to the printing option here. And when you select the printer, we could, of course, select an actual printer that we have, or we could select some type of PDF writer. So I highly recommend having a program of a PDF writer because it could be useful within some QuickBooks programs in a form that is not giving you the printing option, or if that PDF option is not working properly for whatever reason, or if you're using some other program which doesn't give you a PDF printing option but does give you a normal printing option. If you change the printer then from a standard printer to a PDF printer, then it's in essence the same thing. We'll basically print this and it'll make a PDF form that we can then save to the desktop. So and I'm not sponsored by this print. I'm not trying to sell any software or anything, but I use this cute PDF printer. Should be a free download. So that's one option that you can have here to download to have a printer setting so that you can then go there as a default option to save as a PDF file. So if you go back here, then you just change the printer to the Qt PDF printer, and then when you save it, it'll save it as that digital file, as that digital printed file, as a PDF file. So those are going to be some of the options we have in terms of saving the information. Now note that we're kind of limited in the option. I closed it, but I'm going to go back to the balance sheet here and open the balance sheet back up. Note that we're kind of limited in terms of the formatting that we have when we print in this way. We can format the form here, I can adjust the columns, and I could do some formatting there, but we have some limitations in terms of the formatting. If we export it to Excel, however, we have a lot more options in terms of how we want to format something, and we may want to export it to Excel as basically a starting point for us to then make a form that we were looking for, to put these numbers in a format that we want for whatever reason that we want it in that format. Exporting to Excel is a huge thing to learn. The basic sorting of numbers and data within Excel, very important, because every office job these days works with some kind of database program, whether it be financial database or some other informational database like client information, customer information, employee information. And most every database program has an export feature to Excel, and that is going to allow us to manipulate this data in many different ways that we could not do within just the normal report settings here. So within QuickBooks, we can select this item, and we can just say export to Excel. This is the nice easy link over to Excel, and it'll generate a new worksheet typically with a tab and that information on the Excel document. So here it is. I'm going to go ahead and enable the editing, and there's going to be our report. I'm going to bring that up here, and it formats it a little bit different than you may be useful on the desktop version. For example, it puts the header up top here, and it's merging the cells. So we're in the Home tab. I'm on cell A1, and you'll notice A1 goes to B1 as well. So if you go to the Home tab in alignment, they've merged those two cells. So if I highlight column A, it only highlights half of that A1 column. So it's really these two. Now that's a nice feature in that it shows here, whereas in the desktop version, we would have to go to the layout view. So I'm down here in the layout view, and it would be up here in the header. So both of them have the title, but the title is located slightly in a different area. If we go back to the normal view, I had to click out of the header to go back to the normal view, but we're back to the normal view now. That is a great option, but note that if you want to, like, say, delete columns or something like that, you're going to have problems that it'll delete the header sometimes, and you may have to reformat this header if you want to manipulate some of this data in some format. The rest of the information is going to be in here. Notice it use some formulas up top. So here, this is just a hard-coded number, whereas this is a formula, and here's the formula down here. So note this is a useful tool if you haven't used Excel before and you want to see how is a normal form formatted within Excel using formulas. You can see this information, how it's populated. Go through these. Okay, that's adding up those 3 cells. You don't need all these parentheses, by the way, but that's how they're doing it here. And that's because if you had more complex settings, then you would need ordering of numbers. But in any case, you can see the basic format of how they're exporting and the formulas to set up this information. Now within Excel, you have a lot of options that you can manipulate these numbers, and you can also go to the printing option over here and go to the print. It'll give you the layout. So we have a lot more options in terms of how to manipulate the layout. If it was on too many pages wide, we can change it as we could in QuickBooks to a portrait layout. And or we have some options down here to scale it down to 1 page or even just 1 page wide. We'll talk more about those options as we go through and print reports and print different reports. This one clearly fits pretty good on a few columns, therefore we don't need to say 1 page wide. But some other reports that we will have many different columns, and therefore will take different pages, and what you don't want is to have the page break, say if it was right here and the other column would be on another page. That's the main thing we want to avoid, and we'll work on different ways we can do that in Excel. Excel gives us a lot of options in order to solve problems like that. So those are the 2 options, or the main options for printing the reports, formatting the reports. within QuickBooks in terms of printing and exporting to Excel.